Good morning, and this is Charlie Bellefontaine with the HomeBuyer's Hour. I hope everybody had a good holiday. His name is Devin Tingle, and I always give him a big thank you every time he helps out with the show and stuff like that. But he's interested in buying a house, and there's always a ton of questions. There's always a ton of mistakes. And one of the things that Patrick, myself, Joey were putting together is a community forum type place, and it's called ChicagoHousingExperts.com. And the actual place where you could post your questions and get answers from the experts is club.chicagohousingexperts.com. And I'm going to encourage everyone to go there, join. There is no fee to it. Our whole idea is that so many people get themselves in a trick bag while they're going ahead and buying a house. These questions and prepare people for it and get them ready to make the right decisions. I think it's beneficial for everybody involved. So I am going to pick on Devin a little bit here to go ahead and make that happen. We do have Ryan.McKane in the studio with us, and I'm sure you remember his name, and hopefully you'll remember his voice. and he's, I just like this guy, all right? He treats people well. He's very accepting, to everybody else. He doesn't try to do any sort of hard sales or anything else like that. He just tells people the honest to God truth. And for what it's worth, that's what I like about Joey and Patrick as well. So, Ryan, I'm going to just start and ask that you introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Ryan.McKane. I'm with Redfin. I've been licensed now for, it'll be 22 years this year, which is crazy.
Time flies. You look like you're 22 years old. How the hell can that be?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I remember when you used to have to fax offers, and when you had to counter, you had to cross things off, and by the time it was all said and done, it looked like a Rorschach test. And but I serve the pretty much the north side as well as the western suburbs. And if you need to reach me, I'm at 708-668-6613, and my Instagram is RPM Chicago. Kind of like the restaurants, but not.
Loving it. Patrick, please.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Loftus. I'm a real estate lawyer. Somehow good morning is funny to Charlie,
Because you're making fun of me.
Am I a joke to you?
Yes. Now you are.
Unbelievable. I'm not a joke. I'm serious. I'm a serious dude. I am a serious lawyer with serious ideas, and I'm serious about representing you in a serious way.
All right.
Find me, seriously, on Instagram, Loftus_law. Find me on TikTok for the next, 19 days at Loftus Law.
Sounds good. Joey, please.
Why, hello. I am Joey Mathews, NMLS 1330694. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. And big VA Loan Nerd, just doing VA things.
All right, let's get right to work here, and let's figure out and put a plan together for Devin. So one of you three start, because I'm the tail end guy. I'm never the beginning guy. All right, what does he need to do in order to get prepared to purchase a home? And I guess, Devin, I should be asking you first. Would you rather have a condo or a house?
House, honestly.
House, honestly. Okay. What does he need to do to get prepared to buy a house?
I would say start with Joey. What in a perfect world, people would talk to a lender first, but they usually talk to a real estate agent first, because everybody has this false sense of what they can actually afford. So I always say talk to your lender first.
All right, Joey.
Get pre-qualified.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was like, well, in the real world, it's going to go realtor, lender, attorney.
Right.
But in reality, it should be lender, realtor,
exactly.
attorney, right? But so I'm super happy you said that. Yeah, so the first thing most people do, they're going to reach out to a realtor. The realtor is going to say exactly what Ryan just said. Like, well, we got to make sure that you can buy. Regardless of what you think you can do, we got to find out what you can actually do. Okay? So, Devin, you just called me, and now you're looking to buy a house, and you have no idea what's going on, even though you've been running our show for 3 years and haven't learned a damn thing. But, no.
That's actually funny.
but here's a great point I'm going to make now, right? He's been running our show for 3 years. What do I need income-wise as a lender, right? And most people assume at least 2 years of income history at the same job, so we know that something is stable, that it's secure. All right. Now, there's different ways to work that, but Devin, obviously, I know that you have stable income through WCPT right now. Do you have any other jobs?
Multiple.
Multiple
You
other
do?
jobs.
What do you do, bro? I know you're a TikTok influencer.
Yeah, I do
For 4
this.
days.
I work at FM radio station, and I own my own karate school. So yeah,
You have got to be kidding. Is that why you brought that up?
brought what up?
Loftus, PJ. Is that why you asked about that?
What, karate? Isn't that,
The-
isn't that how that's really
Karate.
pronounced, Devin?
No.
I'll let you take that up with Mr.
Oh,
Miyagi
no.
from the grave.
I've been misinformed.
How long have you been doing all those things?
Let's see. Been CPT since
Simultaneously.
2021, 22.
And that
Holy
doesn't
cow.
include your OnlyFans, correct?
Oh,
Lord.
would you be?
I just started that last week. It's just me eating cereal, dead staring at the camera.
He
Out of
do-
your belly button?
he does have cute feet.
Oh my God, this is going downhill
This
fast.
was your idea, Charlie. This was your idea. Enjoy
I-
what you created.
I need to somehow put a leash on all of you. You know,
Yeah. Oh, there's also going to be an inspector involved in your transaction.
that's down the road. We
Waive
gotta
the
get 'em-
inspection. You don't need it.
Yeah, we gotta get him. We gotta get him started. All right. So we know that he's
right.
got employment, and he's been doing that for long enough.
All right, where in Rockford is he looking for a house? Since that's probably how much it's gonna is. That's how much he can afford.
Well, let's talk about that. How do you figure out what he could afford?
All right. So I go through what I call the 4 C's. It is your cash, your capacity, your collateral, your credit. One of those C's has nothing to do with you. It's a beautiful thing. That's collateral. That is the appraisal, making sure your home is safe and sound, and that an investor will buy it. Okay? So, hey, that C doesn't matter. You just have to know it exists. We have to talk about cash. We have to talk about down payment. The minimum down payments for a FHA loan are going to be 3.5%. For a conventional loan, it's 3%. VA, USDA, it's going to be 0%. If you are, so that's easy. Where is that money coming from? Is it coming from a gift? Is it coming from a grant from like the IDA program we just talked about before we got on air, which we'll talk about more? Is it coming from checking savings, a 401k, an IRA? So we have to know where the funds are coming from because there's these anti-money laundering laws. We got to make sure you're not borrowing from the mob. Yeah.
I just hit a smart ass comment that I was going to say, but I held it back. Keep
It's
going.
because I worked in Cicero, isn't it? It's because I worked in Cicero. Say it, Charlie. Say it.
No,
I
it's
got
because
people.
never mind. I've always wanted to be a mafia guy ever since The Sopranos was on there, but I'm just too
It's-
too
It was
much of a
interesting,
wimp to do it.
Better Call Saul was based in Cicero. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, dude. Every firefighter that works in Chicagoland thinks they're mobbed up. It's cute. All right. Capacity. Capacity is going to be part of credit as well. So we're going to see what your minimum monthly payments are towards debt, and we're going to look at your total gross monthly income. Now, you said you had a bunch of jobs and you've been working all of them simultaneously since 2021 with no gap. So I can actually use all of the income from all of your jobs in qualifying you, right? Because you've done that. That is steady. That is consistent. That is the life that you already live.
Okay,
so
that's
I can
cool.
assume that you will continue to do so. All right? If you had any breaks in employment of longer than a month between jobs, then we actually can't do that. So, what we would
Well, there's
get
got to
into
be a
that
time
conversation.
limit on that, right, Joey? I mean,
Yeah.
how far back does that go?
Yeah. So, well, we only go back 2 years.
2
right?
years,
So we go
okay.
back 2 years. If you have any breaks longer than 30 days where you're carrying all 3 jobs, we can't use all of that income anymore because now there's been too long of a break. All right. So but that's capacity. Your income, your gross monthly income, not what you're taking home every month, but your gross monthly income divided by your total minimum debt payments, including your future housing payment, right? We come up with debt ratios. On the VA side, there's residual income. Totally, it's a conversation me and Devin don't need to have because Devin's not a veteran, but I still say it because there are veterans that maybe they listen. Maybe the 3 people that listen, one's a vet.
You're
Going
more
on to
pessimistic than I am.
Yeah, ouch.
So-
I say dozens.
You know I could hear you.
3 dozen. My bad.
That's better.
So from that number, I want to make sure that Devin is making a comfortable monthly payment every month. Devin, if you don't mind me asking, what would a comfortable monthly payment for a house look like for you?
That's a very good question. I'd probably say 2,500 max be the most I could do.
Holy crap, that's
Okay.
a lot of money.
No,
well,
it's
here's
not.
the
It's not?
exactly, and that's
Charlie
even
hasn't rented since like 1972.
so between me and my roommate, we're both looking to get in a house together this year, possibly with another person. We both make roughly about 2,600 each a month, give or take. My job kind of fluctuates between how many people do karate classes that month and not.
Is your karate, is that are you contracted with that, or is that W-2?
Contract, I would guess.
Well, he
Okay,
owns
so-
it, Joey. That's a business.
Yeah.
Oh, you own it. Okay. Do you know how you file your taxes? Do you do? Is it an S corp? Is it a C corp? What do you do?
We're an LLC, and I'm still trying to contact the IRS about how to file taxes for the first time this year. I'm terrified. I'm going to do something wrong, go to prison.
well,
gonna have
you won't
fun.
go to
You're gonna
prison,
have
but I do recommend. I know that me recommending you spend even more money is going to sound like shut up, but believe me, try to believe me that whatever money you spend on an accountant is actually it's an investment in the sense that they'll find actually ways for you to either pay less taxes or to to work the numbers so that whatever you're paying them is actually going to most likely be at least offset by the amount less you'll be paying in taxes.
But here's the tricky part with all that is when you're a business owner, if they're going to make you pay less taxes, you're probably going to end up losing money. And if you show a business loss coming in here, well, that harms your gross income where it comes to it. So it's either... Go ahead, Joey.
No, exactly right. So you also want to make sure that you're being very honest when you're filing your taxes.
Yeah.
But also saying, hey, I'm trying to buy a house, so don't write off everything possible. But I would like to see where income is because we want to see what that job does. Now, here's a good thing. Fannie Mae, if we're going conventional, allows me to completely ignore self-employed income if you do end up claiming a loss and we qualify with the other jobs that you have. Okay? So if between your radio jobs, you have plenty of income to qualify with what you're looking to do, we don't want to deal with your karate job at all if it's showing a loss. All right? Okay, well, then F your karate job. We're not worried about it. All right? So $2,500 a month is your number, and you can buy with your friends. It's totally allowed. 100% allowed, all right? So we can use everybody's gross income as long as they have solid employment history, as long as no one's stealing money for your assets, all those good things. The last thing we're looking for is credit, right? That's the 4C. We talked about credit. We talked about capacity. We talked about collateral. Cash. So now we're talking about credit. Credit itself is looking at what your score is, what your history looks like. So having thin credit or no credit is not a good thing. So I would like to see people with at least 3 trade lines because it's very helpful. So if you have student loans, auto loans, credit cards, all very helpful things. If you're an authorized user on any accounts, sometimes we have to see what credit looks like and this is literally in the last 2 years this happened. We have to see what credit would look like without those authorized user accounts if you only have 3 open trade lines, which is wild. Because we want to make sure we're not getting a false reporting because someone else is doing well with their credit. But we're looking at your score, and what your score helps us with is figuring out what loan program makes sense. Because on the conventional side versus FHA, oftentimes when you're over 720, over 700, it's better for you financially to go conventional based on rate and PMI. Okay, if you're under that number, usually it's going to look better going FHA for your personal financial reasons, but this is also going to be very significant to Ryan, who is helping you buy a house. So I have you pre-approved now. We did all the wonderful things. Now I pass you off to Ryan, and he has his conversation with you.
Yeah, and that's what I say. What are you looking for in a home? And location, floor plan, but also, I always tell my clients, just because you're approved for, let's say, $400,000, doesn't mean we need to go all the way up to that. I treat my clients' money like it's mine, and I've seen so many people who are just financially stressed out because they max out as much as they're pre-approved for. So I always say, look just underneath that. I mean, now it's a little bit difficult because usually you're in a multiple offer situation, but yeah, I say, what are you looking for in a home? And go in with the understanding that you're not going to get everything, but what are your must-haves and what are your deal breakers? What are things that you're flexible on? And, it's kind of like getting way too far ahead. I'm always thinking about the resale because the kiss of death in real estate is when somebody says, this is our forever home. And when somebody says that, I know that they're probably going to be selling in 2 years. So I always think about the exit. I always think about, okay, and in real estate, you don't want something that's unique unless it's like a mid-century modern home, and those will always resell, but you don't want something that has a weird layout. You want something that is going to have a good resale value. You're going to want something that's in this is probably breaking fair housing laws, but you want something in a good neighborhood, safe neighborhood.
Which is, it's a subjective thing that
Right.
that every person can decide for themselves. And
Right.
that Ryan would never steer you in one direction or another
Well,
on.
you can't. There's laws against that. But
That's
yeah.
kind of the whole. That was the point
Yeah,
of what I was
exactly.
just saying.
Well, you mean
is
why
to
the
try to help him
attorney's
out.
trying to tell us to protect us from the laws? What a good guy. I apologize. But no, I've always heard the statement, I want to buy the cheapest house in the most expensive neighborhood.
Yeah. That's a good, somewhat good rule of thumb, because you're going to get the most appreciation, you're going to get pulled up by the values of the other home. But at the end of the day, I talk more people out of buying more homes than I'll ever talk them buying into them. I just had this right around Christmas where I had some clients that were looking at a townhome in Lincoln Park, and it was really not much bigger than what they had just sold and moved out of. And it was it's kind of a different, it's one of those 70s or 80s complexes where there's a unit in the front and then a unit in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And they were looking at one of the units in the back. I said, those don't have the same resale as the ones on the front. Nobody wants to live right off the alley, So, and I basically told them, like, when we were done, I said, this isn't for you. And they were still talking about it. They're like, well, we want to think about it. I'm like, I don't like it for you guys. I said, if you want to move forward, obviously I'm here to help. But I'm like, I don't like it for you guys. Just be patient. You're renting. You have no real urgency right now to purchase something, because they were like, well, we're worried we won't see anything on the market that kind of suits our needs. I'm like, there's going to be plenty of inventory coming on the market. Just be patient. And for my clients, I'm always thinking of the resale, because I've sold so many properties for people as the listing agent where I'll walk in and I'll just say, the agent who sold you this place should lose their license because it's a funky layout or it's a bad location, or like years ago, luckily it sold, but I had clients that had a $675,000 garden unit. It was nice.
Not
but
even a duplex down.
It's just a garden. And I was just like, you shouldn't have bought this. I mean, we sold it and they did well on it, but it took a while. I'm just like, you never, especially with garden units.
It's always dark.
Yeah,
and
you always have to
avoid
worry.
those. You always
Avoid
have
those
to
at
worry
all
about
costs.
water. Below grade. I don't even like duplex downs just because the same thing. I mean, it's less appealing, right? I mean, for the same square footage, the same layout, effectively, you can get something above grade that is going to be way more appealing to more people.
Yeah.
But it is his choice.
Yeah, at the end of the day, because I mean, I've certainly had clients where I said you shouldn't buy this place, and they insist on buying it.
That's fine.
I'm like, listen, and in fact, I had a friend of mine who's an older guy who was buying a condo for his daughter, and he lives in Indiana, but he was buying a condo along Lakeshore up in Edgewater. And I told him, he's like, man, the prices up here are so cheap and they're right on the lake. I said, there's a reason for that. I'm like, your monthly assessment's like $1,500 and it's going to just keep going up. And I'm like, the resale on these things is not great. You're not going to see a lot of appreciation. And I was trying to talk him out of it. He ended up using another realtor. And I was like, and he's a friend of mine. And I was like, you know, I understand. I was like, I would still have represented you. I don't know. I'm such a frugal person, and I get like some sort of weird like secondhand anxiety when I see people either spending too much money or buying something that's not right for them, because I just picture it down the road and I'm just like, yeah, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. There's so many better options out there.
But it's still their choice.
But sometimes
I am being a little argumentative here. You know, it's everybody get. That's the greatest thing about this country.
Yeah.
Is that freedom of choice.
Well, I mean, look, let me just insert my own opinion on it. I mean, you know, I see your point, Charlie, but I also see where Ryan's coming from, where it's like, you know, I really want to make sure that, you know, the person I'm speaking to, like, 'cause he's the one with all the experience, right? Like, he's been through all of those things.
And that's
He's
his
seen
value.
it over and over again. And, you know, to walk someone down a path that you know what the result is going to be, I mean, I can say from my own experience, it's not fun, right? I mean, ultimately, if someone wants to make that decision and I've given them all of the relevant information to make a decision and they still want to make the wrong decision, I mean, look, you know, Ryan's friend that he's talking about, if they were to say, you know, look, I get all of the financial considerations that you're
I got
putting
my risk.
forward,
Right.
I'm comfortable financially, and really, I just love the view. I mean, I've had clients buy units in such buildings, and I know going into it that this is not going to be the wisest investment in terms of the dollars and cents. But when they go, look, the view, I just want to wake up to that every morning, and you know, when I go to sell, you know, it's going to be okay. I go, hey, awesome. You know, that's your set of values, and that's what you've determined is important or the most important thing. And you know, you've taken on board the fact that when you go to sell, it's kind of going to be a wash.
It's your risk, your reward, your everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I always said, like, if you go to, they're not even around anymore, but if you go to Toys R Us, you'll see
think
a
they
kid.
came back, didn't
You'll
they?
see a kid throwing a tantrum because they want a toy that may not even be good for them, but they want it. And that is kind of sometimes how I look at some buyers
I was
when they
that
want
kid.
something. And I just say, you know what? Adults are nothing but tall children.
I
That's
potty
it.
trained my son because of Toys R Us and a tractor that he wanted.
Oh, there you go.
3 years old, I had to make him stop going in the diaper somehow. So I bribed him.
Poor
But we're-
kid. This is, you know, this is abuse. What we just
But the
witnessed.
statute of limitations are over now.
You know,
I'm calling
He had his
DCFS.
chance. I am.
this
But
this
let's get-
poor adult man has to be subjected to his father talking about, you know, the way he just terrible, just terrible. Shame
I
on
am
you.
terrible. All right, so I bought my first house. It was $100,000, 101 to be exact,
Wow.
in Elmhurst
Duh.
in 1988.
So in today's dollars, it's like $900,000.
Yeah.
That may be true. All right, my mortgage was $1,000 a month.
Wow.
And I was like, how the hell am I going to pay this? It may sound like a little now.
Yeah.
All right. But again, we're going back 30 something years ago. All right. Maybe was that 40 years ago? I don't know. 18, then whatever. We could do the math some other time. It was a long time ago. All right. But that was the most amount of money that I could afford. We were eating beans and potatoes, you know, for like a year because we were so short on cash. I think that's where you were going about, hey, listen, here's a risk. We could do this. You could spend this money. You could legally get it.
Yeah.
But your quality of life is going to be penny pitching for a long time.
It's called being house poor.
Yeah.
You know what? I've had people that I've sold homes for. They've got this beautiful home, beautiful cars out front, and they have no furniture in there. It's like, you know,
Goodness
it's just,
gracious.
you know, it's just no way to live.
No.
Well, let me one up Charlie for a moment here. I'll tell you a story that I heard secondhand. So my great aunt an uncle bought a home in Palatine in like 1940, right? And they got a loan on it, and their monthly mortgage payment was like $40 a month. And you know what? Same thing. They're like, we have no clue how we are gonna figure out how to pay this $40 a month.
Yeah.
So it's all relative, right?
All relative.
You know, when I hear people talk today about like, you know, housing is so unaffordable, I go, man, it has never been affordable or easy to find your perfect home. The one
it's hard.
that fits all of your needs in the place you want.
No.
Very few people have the luxury of being able to just to say like, I get to move into whatever place I want in whatever location, and money's no object. That's just the reality of it. It will always be that way.
And it's frightful the very first time you go through that.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I'm having those conversations with my wife right now. She's never bought real estate. And I'm like, you know, I think it's time for us to move to some place with some more room. And, you know, she's just like, I can't even imagine what that looks like. I know what's coming in and what's going out right now. How would we even do that? I'm like, well, you know, we're going to talk to Joey. So Joey, you're going to get a phone call. But, you know, it's until you have conversations with people like Joey, like Ryan, it will remain a mystery to you. How exactly do I do this? And the easy way, you know, the easiest thing is just to default to, you know, going and finding some place to rent, which for many people is the right move. But I do think that there are lots of people who rent who could just as well be homeowners. It probably won't be their perfect home. I'll tell you, when I bought my first home, I know where I was initially looking, and I was looking at the prices, and yeah, I qualified in terms of my income and what I could afford. And I just came to the conclusion that I just don't think I want to be making that monthly payment at what it would have to be for at that price. So I changed my criteria. I said, you know, I could move to, I could look in another location that's a little farther from my ideal place, but it's more in my comfort zone in terms of how much it would cost me every month. And I do believe that as time goes on and interest rates remain sort of stable at where they're at, and home values continue to more or less do what they're doing, I think people will start to make more of those compromises. For some time they didn't have to, because the housing market was fairly stagnant in the Chicago area from about 2009 until early 2020, and then you know, things started to happen. So we're all still adjusting to how that's changed, because it was a certain way for a long time, and now it's a different way, and we don't like it, because it ain't exactly what we want. We want it to go back to the way it was, and that's just not going to happen. So.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, even if you build a custom home, it's still not going to be perfect.
No,
I mean, it's just,
we find a lot of stuff wrong with those.
Well, no, not even that. In the 18 months, 2 years, 3 years between you concocting this plan and then the house being ready to move into, guess what? Everybody in your family's 3 years older. They have different needs.
Yep.
It's like, you know,
Life changes.
it's like they finish a highway, right? And they go, we have to add a lane, or, you know, O'Hare's going to be done in 2038, and it's going to be like, great, now we have to start all over again.
But we'll just give everybody the tolls for free for a whole day, and they'll be happy. Let's go and get back on. You know, I'm going to just pull out a suburb of the city here, and let's call it Villa Park. All right. What is a starter house in Villa Park going for nowadays?
it's a good question. I don't really work in Villa Park too often, but
I
All right,
I
where
would
do
say
you know?
between
Give
$300
me-
and $400K, just if I was gonna.
Say again. It sounds like Devin knows.
So I've been looking at a few places. Villa Park is one place we are liking, and we're finding houses anywhere from about, I'd say the medium in Villa Park is roughly 350,000.
Oh, I nailed it.
so
You
that's
did
what I
nail
was
it.
going
That
to
was
guess.
good.
Yeah,
All
'cause
right, so let's get back to him then. $350,000 average home. What does he need to do?
well,
Have the money.
yeah, well, get pre
How much money?
get pre-approved first.
All right,
but,
we do that.
So how much money, Joey? You know, let's bring you back into the mix here. You know, I'm assuming it has to do with how much is he going to borrow, and how much is his down payment going to be, and what can he afford in terms of a monthly payment. So the answer is it depends. My favorite
Always.
one.
But he said that he's comfortable with $2,500. He said that the prices are $350,000. Can he buy a house?
All right, so loaded question, right? So what are taxes and insurance going to be? And that's the other thing is I always want to make sure I know where someone's looking to buy, so I can get an idea of what the tax liability is going to be every month. Because if you're buying for $350,000 in Frankfurt versus Chicago, you are going to be paying double to triple the taxes.
Yep.
Right? It's way
That's a
more
good point.
expensive.
I almost bought out there in 2021.
And then you're like, oh, these taxes are insane. Let's not play this game, right? So,
Yeah, the one Cook County is nuts when it comes to how your taxes can go up quickly, but also it's not nuts compared to Lake, McHenry, DuPage, Will County,
Kendall. My parents
Yeah.
live in Kendall, and they bought a townhouse for like $195,000. I want to say, and their annual taxes are like 11 grand.
Oh man,
It's insane.
that's an anchor around your neck, man.
Yeah.
That is tough, especially ever since they limited the state and local income tax deduction.
right. The salt. Yeah.
It's
So, yeah.
it's no fun, man. But yeah,
Well,
that's a
let's
good
say
point,
it's-
Joey. I mean, I would imagine your monthly escrow in Villa Park. I'm just gonna ballpark it, like 900,
I was
maybe.
going to say $1,000. Yeah, I was going to round up on there. So, all right, where are we at, Joey?
All right, so you're talking about a G a month every for taxes at $350K. That's what you're guesstimating.
I'm guessing. Yeah, that's insurance and
All right.
everything else with it.
Okay, total of a G a month.
Yeah.
All right, so you're looking at a mortgage payment by itself at $1,500. So let's do this on the fly, real quick. You know what I mean? Assuming conventional 3% down, and at $350, that's $10,500. All right. So we got to make sure that we have clean money at that amount.
And
Clean
Devin's a
money,
first-time
mafia.
home buyer, so he might be able to take like 401k money without a penalty. There's some other things, maybe an IDA grant to help
Really?
with that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we're gonna have PMI involved here, right? So that is looking like $3,600 a month total. If we take out the PMI and insurance, we're looking at a $2,300 a month payment in Villa Park at $350K with 3% down.
Okay,
That's-
it is.
That's 2,300 principal and interest, and then adding
Only.
the 11,
And then you
the
add
other
extra.
1,100 is
Oh.
taxes, insurance, and PMI.
Did everyone just hear Charlie?
Yeah, I just said, oh.
It's like the home improvement.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Well,
But
otherwise
that's-
they're going to
that's
bleep
why-
me if I'm saying what I'm thinking. I don't know
Now,
how to do that.
if he can come up with more down, that will offset some of the monthly payment, right? So, Joey, what are some things that your clients, what are some levers they can pull? For example, let's say that, his Uncle Larry is able to, do a gift, or I don't know, just it's some various different things. Maybe he's got some savings from like a car accident when he was 16, or I don't know.
Yeah, CDs, whatever. Random money laying in random places. As long as we know that it's clean, we're good to use it.
What about crypto?
Oh man, I haven't done it yet, but I know that I'm going to say that yes, as long as it's converted to USD prior to close, right?
I mean, I got a bunch of
Seriously, I
crypto.
thought that was a joke.
No.
I actually laughed at it.
Charlie, I'm very happy with the way the crypto market's going.
I was gonna say it's becoming more and more prevalent.
I'm
Yeah.
being wimpy on all that stuff.
I don't
He
invest
said he
in
was
it
gonna
either.
Yeah.
It's just
He's buying his next place in cash.
Well,
Enjoy that big
If-
billionaire lifestyle.
if things keep going the way they're going, yeah, you won't see me around. I'll be in El Salvador, swimming in my virtual money.
I'll go up to the 51st state.
it's Canada.
Canada, yeah.
Wow, to
Sorry,
everyone,
go back, go back, go back.
to everyone in Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin
They
Islands, the
have their
Marshall
choice.
Islands.
They could vote yes.
To all of you who Charlie just absolutely insulted,
Welcome.
I'm so sorry on behalf of the Homebuyers Hour. Charlie
Not
doesn't,
true.
doesn't
I
care.
want to welcome them into this greatest country in the world.
They're already into this greatest country in the
They
world.
are not a state.
That
All right.
doesn't mean they're not a U.S. territory.
Oh, I didn't say they're not a
stop
territory.
being
They're just not a state.
territorialist.
I want them to be, but they got to agree to it. I don't even know what's the difference is. I think they can't vote for president. That's it.
Yeah.
That's oh my goodness, great. Do you want to get? Never mind.
We're getting off track. We got to focus back on Devin.
Time for a station ID. This is WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. And we are
A Chicago accented
me and myself, and I think I speak on behalf of
Go to the
Joey and
Jewels.
Ryan, not
Yeah,
Charlie,
exactly.
but we are not territoryist. We understand the plight of the non-state territories of this great nation, and Canada is their own country. Thank you
They
very
are.
much.
They are, but I'm just having fun with the recent news. All right, so how much more does he need, either income or down payment wise, to make this work? And everything I want to focus now on, let's make it work.
And this is at today's rates, I'm assuming, roughly.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
What are you using as a
Don't
rule
make
of thumb?
me- don't make me trigger compliance.
No,
jag.
I'm not asking you what the rates are. I'm asking you what are you using as a rule of thumb, just in these calculations, like just
I'm
offhand.
throwing a 7.25 into my calculation.
I was
Okay.
going to say,
Okay.
the Mortgage News Daily says 30-year fix is, about 7.25. So there you go.
All right. I do believe that your escrow is going to be less than 1,100. I believe it's going to be closer to 700, just based on what I've pulled up on property taxes in Villa Park.
All right, that's a big deal.
I'm helping. So that brings us to $3,000. All right. If we were to do this simply through rate, we would need a rate at about a 5. Okay. If you're going to do it through down payment, sorry, you would want to put 25% down. So what does that tell me? That tells me if I have a chance to buy my rate down, I am going to spend less money to lower my payment than I will doing it purely through a higher down payment.
Whoa.
It's interesting.
Yeah, say that again.
If I am looking for the most cost-effective way to get my payment down to $2,500, it will be less expensive to buy my rate down rather than adding 22% to my down payment.
I didn't know
You're
you
going
could
from
do
a
that.
10,000
So buy your rate
You
down,
got to- oh my God,
and then
you're
take the
nuts. It's
other
your-
2,200
Well,
and
I'm
put
not
it in
the
crypto.
smartest guy in the world. Quit yelling at me.
And Joey, on a conventional, what is the typical hit to the rate for a condo versus a single family?
Oh, you're
a
looking
good
at
question.
usually an eighth to a quarter.
That's
Depending on
what I
pricing that
thought,
day and how
yeah.
compressed margins are.
I always tell people that when they're looking at condos, I'm like, your rate's going to be higher just because there's always a hit to the rate for condos versus single family.
Joey, have you been seeing? Let me ask you this. I know a lot of builders have been offering rate buy downs as part of their incentives, and we talked about that a few weeks ago. Are you seeing anyone on the existing home sale side of things where sellers are offering? And I know you work across the country, so you're not only working in Chicago, where you may not have seen this because of just the market dynamics, but I'm thinking about like Texas, Central Florida, maybe your neck of the woods, Arizona, where there are they've got more housing stock. The supply and demand is more favorable to, there's more supply there. Are you seeing existing home sellers offering rate buy downs as part of the negotiation process to induce someone to buy their home versus their neighbor's home?
I call this concession season, right? Right now I call it concession season because we know that we should not be having appraisal issues in the winter. Generally, we're having appraisal issues in the summer, and then because the summer is so hot and people offer appraisal gaps, all those good things, homes sell for more in the summer. During the winter, we usually see appraisals have no problem, so sellers are offering concessions and buyers offer more to get concessions, whatever. But yes, I do see more concessions, and oftentimes if those concessions are not just used to cover closing costs, but to buy down the rate itself. And what's nice about concessions is they are based off of the purchase price, not the loan amount. So if you're offering a 3% concession on a $300,000 loan, on a $300,000 purchase, that's $9,000 in concessions. But if the loan is only $200,000, someone just happens to be putting down a crap load of money, we are looking at 4.5 points that you can use to buy down your rate.
That's good.
That's huge.
It's a bit, and now 4.5 points isn't a lower rate by like taking 7.25 minus 4.5, freaking percent. It's that amount of money applied towards the cost of the rate that easily gets you into the fives.
Interesting.
Mid-low fives.
So And I think when I think about what are we likely to see in a market going forward, I usually do like to look to see what builders are doing, because they're the ones who are most sensitive to the market forces. They've got to move that inventory. They don't have the luxury of being like, well, I don't need to move. I've got another 30 days. No, they're paying interest on a daily basis on that acquisition and development loan. If they can move a parcel, if they can move one of their lots, 3 days sooner, that's absolutely what they want to do. And so, I definitely have seen, and Joe, I'm sure, again, you can comment more about this, more willingness to make concessions. And certainly with the rates themselves, that seems to really motivate people more than anything else, is that number. People get really attached to it.
People focus so much on the rate, and you got to look at your monthly payment. And this sounds so lender. Rates don't matter. I have learned this over many years. Rates don't matter. You know what matters more than anything is actually closing and being comfortable with your payment, right? So
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And I would add something else, and this is something that Ryan has taught us and has mentioned more, quite often, and that is the third component, which is, am I buying like at the top of the market or even overpaying, which is going to stick me in place and make me less flexible in terms of, let's say that, if I have a change in family circumstances, say I've been transferred out of town unexpectedly, 18 months into buying the place, and my employer's not offering to help out with the sale of the property. Am I going to take a loss? I mean, that's where that extra 10, 15, 20 grand that you had to offer more than what you thought really the property was worth, that's where you're going to get in trouble.
Yep. It's like one of my a quote from one of my favorite movies, Heat. It's like, don't walk into something that you can't walk away from. It's just you gotta because I mean, there's been so many times where I've had clients that I've sold homes to, and a year and a half, 2 years, they're calling me because they had a baby, they lost a job, they're getting divorced. Like, you just, I just am a firm believer in don't overextend yourself,
Right. And I love all this stuff. That's great advice. I am going to try and get us back on here. What other options? He could buy down, and by the way, that was really interesting to me that it's cheaper to buy down your rate and lower your monthly payment than it is to put more down on it. Mm-hmm. I thought that was huge. What else can he do to get free money? And I'm asking about grants right now.
You're going to grants, yeah. So you can look at different programs. There's Cook County one that offers $25,000 in assistance towards down payment and closing costs in targeted areas. There is.
And how do you know if you're in a targeted area?
Is that the census tract?
The census tract
Okay.
will tell you. Yep. I'm not going to say anything that will get me in trouble.
Right. Just leave it at that.
No, but is there a place where somebody could look up and see? Is there a website that shows that?
www.google.com.
Oh my gosh.
Or I'll
Somebody
send a
needs
let me
to
Google
beat
that to you, link to you.
All
I
right.
love it.
I love that website. Let me Google that for you.
It is the snarkiest.
It's the most passive aggressive.
The snarkiest thing you could possibly do to somebody. I would imagine IHDA. I don't know if it's a .gov or whatever, but the Illinois Housing Development Authority. When we say IDA, that's just we're saying the acronym IHDA. That's usually where a lot of these grants are coming from. I would imagine their website is going to give you a lot of information, at least to get you started.
Okay. Good. What else?
IHDAmortgage.com.
There you go.
It's a national down payment assistance grant. The only thing I'll say, and I know I said this pre-show, but just be aware that IDA, they run the show with your mortgage, right? So it's a second lien mortgage. It's a silent second. There's repayable, forgivable, deferred, all those wonderful things. Long story short is if you refinance or sell that property that you bought with IDA, you will, inside of a certain amount of years, depending on the program you pick, up to 10 years, you will owe a prorated amount of that money back.
Yeah, there's usually
There's
some
no such
strings
thing as free
attached,
money.
but it's still worth having. It's still worth doing.
I would say.
even as they've evolved that program over the years, and sometimes making those strings a little bit more stringy. I don't know if that makes sense, but still, the free money makes it worth it 100% of the time, in my opinion.
So what I'm hearing is that it's doable to get him down into that comfortable mortgage number. Is that true? Or did I
It's
hear
all about
wrong?
Negotiating, and just also bear in mind with IDA, they are going to tell you what the rates are going to be.
Okay.
So no lender is going to find some other IDA program. We all have access to the exact same thing with IDA.
And can you buy those rates down?
I'll verify. I think they charge just a flat 1 point per quarter in rate, which
Okay.
is terrible margins, but
It is.
for this market.
All right, so let's say we got him. He could get the money. Now we want to start going out looking for houses. And obviously he knows the area that he wants. He knows the type. He knows what he could afford. What's next?
Well, now you're right
Next
off.
is going out to Villa Park, looking around and going, I don't know. What about West Chicago? And then heading farther west until you find something that you
I did that. Yeah.
finally like at a price that feels good.
I started in Elmhurst, and then we wanted the big monster house, and we ended up going further away to Bolingbrook, and we got a 6,000 square foot house out there. You know,
Lord.
Wow.
it was stupidly.
Own
I'm
zip code.
living in,
Northbrook, my God.
and I'm living in an 1,800 square foot house, and I'm far happier.
I can imagine.
You know?
It's like it goes back to those days when everyone had like a family room and a living room and a dining
that
room.
nobody used.
I
Yeah,
did,
like
and a rec
literally
room. Yeah.
however many rooms that were just there for like
The front
show.
room.
I mean,
Yeah.
we just it's funny because we just don't really value that anymore, culturally speaking. And who knows? Maybe it'll go back to that at some point in time. But
The amount of homes I've sold for people where they're like, oh, we have to have a spare bedroom for when people come to visit. And then when they go to sell it, they're like, yeah, no one ever stayed here. Bathroom's never been used. Yeah.
Yeah.
the last thing I want is people thinking they can come visit me. Absolutely not. We have no space for that.
It's funny you say that. When we bought our furniture for the front room, I guess. I don't know what it's going to be called. The
Front room.
The one that we don't use. And I wanted to get the cheapest, most uncomfortable furniture that was on the market just so we could put something in there. Yeah, but and then I got a little razzing over that. It's like, oh, you want people to sit on this? I said, no, I want them to sit on it, get uncomfortable, and get out. This is the comfortable stuff goes for me in the back end over here.
Charlie's got the best furniture Sweden has to offer in that room.
Sweet. Wait a minute. That's IKEA. Ah, look at how smart I am.
I could see the gears turning.
All right,
He
so
got
we
there.
find him a house. All right, and we're in the numbers. We get everything else. What happens next?
You're getting
Inspection.
your loan estimate,
Inspection.
you're getting your disclosures, you're getting inspection. Yeah, sorry, Ryan, this is you now. I'm going to shut this piece
I
up.
was gonna say next. It's actually
Shut the
Charlie. It's like, once we're under
Me?
contract, we're gonna send the contract and everything over to Patrick, and then we're gonna get our inspection.
All right, and that's one of the things we're trying to do with this new ChicagoHousingExperts.com is I want people to learn more when they're looking. I don't want them to wait till they put the contract in and then hire somebody and then me tell them there's so much going on here, and you look at the dollar signs that go with it, and now you don't want to buy the house. I don't want people to do that.
And Charlie, how are you going to kill the deal once we've got this far?
I don't want to kill the deal. I just want people to
Turn
be.
this diamond into a turd.
Well, no, I really believe in the freedom of choice. I believe in that like there's no tomorrow. I figure my job is to educate someone and let them know the choice that they're making. And whatever they do, I respect. All right, I completely do. But you need to go in eyes open. And if this is something that's going to bother somebody, then they should know ahead of time. I mean, I remember we did one house that had a horizontal crack. It was bulging inside like about maybe 9 inches. And I'm like, this is scaring the crap out of me. Sorry for my language there, but it's like really bad. And we're looking at, again, about $2,000, and $2,000 for each support, I should say. And I would guess that there were about 20 supports in there. So we were looking at $40,000 in a repair just to go ahead and stabilize this foundation. And the guy came back and goes, yeah, my wife really wants the house. So we're getting it, and that was it. I'm like, okay, as long as, it's your choice, as long as you know what's going on there. but it's, if we can go ahead and get that information to people, I don't know. Do you think it's valuable to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds lame and cheesy, but I kind of have like the heart of a teacher when I'm showing clients homes.
Not. That is our job, is to be an educator.
And I'll like
all of us. Yours, Patrick, Joey's, Ryan's, all of us.
It wasn't too long ago. I was showing my friends' homes up in Northbrook, and we go down to the basement. I said, well, this is all asbestos flooring. Like, it was the asbestos tile. I'm like, asbestos, it's only a concern when you remove it, but I'm like, it's something that, you'd be aware of. But then we went in the back and there was asbestos insulation on the pipes and everything. I'm like, this is something you got to be aware of. You're going to have this removed. We're going to ask the seller to remove it, or we're going to get a credit. But I can speak about with confidence, because I've heard agents point out things and on showings on my listings. I'm like, no, that's not right. Like, but anything I could speak about in confidence, I'd like to educate my buyers as much as humanly possible.
And, and we got home inspectors that call things out that aren't 100% true either, right? People are humans. That's all there is to it.
People are humans.
Well, humans make mistakes. I don't judge people by the mistakes they make. I judge them how they handle those mistakes. And I think that's what makes true character of people. So
I don't judge anyone.
You judge everyone. You judge me every day. You judge me today.
Even on days
I'm
that
all
we don't
triggered.
Even on days we don't get together, I sit there and I think,
how can I mess with Charlie?
That Charlie, I'll tell you what. And then I find some things to judge him about, and you don't even know.
We're getting towards the end of everything else. Did we get Devin a house or not? Or is he still living on the curb?
Well, I guess we made it through the inspection.
Devin,
right.
What do you think about Elburn? You want to,
Oh my
you
God!
want to live that far out?
We're not moving him out that far. All right.
DeKalb.
Bettendorf's beautiful this time of year.
Bettendorf. Oh, yeah, that's Quad Cities. All right, we got to close this up. Joey, give us how do people get a hold of you if they got
Dixon
questions?
is lovely.
You can call me at 630-235-2405. You
Homer
can find me
Reagan.
at theVALoanNerd.com or across all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd.
And you're putting out a whole bunch of videos recently. I've been loving every one of them, and everything's going into educational. Now, is it the VA Loan Nerd? Is that where all your educational stuff is?
Yeah, so that
Okay.
is, I'm also going to start my blog this year. Finally
Good.
doing the blog. Yeah, so all the things on the website.
Loving it.
Tell us a mortgage joke.
We don't have time. Patrick,
you can
please.
see those on my social media. Idiot.
There it is.
Yeah, that's right. Go to the VA Loan Nerd. You get mortgage jokes, just what everyone asks for. Find me. You won't get any mortgage jokes. You will just get sass on my social media. Find me,
Dry humor.
Loftus_law. Very dry. Just so dry your skin will start flaking. Instagram, Loftus_law. TikTok for the next 2 weeks.
Sounds
Loftus
good.
Law.
Ryan, please.
You can reach me at, my name is Ryan.McKane, and my cell is 708-668-6613. Instagram is RPM Chicago, just like the restaurants, but not. And, or you can reach me at Ryan.McKane, that's MCKANE, at Redfin.com.
Loving it. And your phone number is 708-668-6613.
That is correct.
Call and text them anytime. My name is Charlie Bellefontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I am out.